Buenos dias. My name is Megan Blake and I'm a Spanish teacher in Northwestern Pennsylvania. And today we're going to see how to add a rubric onto an assignment in Google Classroom. It's a fairly simple process. So once you've done one, you can actually even take it and tweak it for other assignments. So once you know which assignment you want to do, so for example, under my classwork, the latest one that I have is Describe el video. And I've got a video of my son really enjoying some guacamole. And what my assignment was for this was for students to go ahead and write a description of it. So students were to write a description of it. And they were to create a Google Doc and then attach that to turn it in. Now, if I want them to have a rubric, something to go off of for what I'm looking for and expecting from them, I'm actually going to come over here to these three dots. I'm going to click it, and I'm going to click Edit. This is going to take me back to the same screen as when I first created this assignment. So you can actually do this when you're first creating the assignment instead of going in after the fact and doing it. Now, over here on the right-hand side of the screen, underneath all my grading and the due date and stuff, there is a rubric option. You're going to go ahead and click plus rubric. Now it's going to ask me if I want to create one or reuse a rubric. Now I do not currently have any rubrics in this Google Classroom. So I'm going to click create rubric. So it has use for scoring over here. So when I go in to grade my students' assignment, then it will give this to me as an option for helping with that. So it's going to ask you for a criterion. So what's your criterion name? What's the description? And then what are your levels? So for my criteria, for my first one, I'm going to go ahead and call this one vocabulary because it's important to me that they are using appropriate vocabulary for the assignment. So criteria description is going to be something like uses appropriate vocabulary to assignment and level. And then for 1 point, I'm going to go ahead and call this one below expectations. And if you're using like the actual levels, you could definitely put that in here instead. So my description for below expectations is going to be something like does not use accurate or appropriate vocabulary to level. I'm going to put multiple uses of English in there too as well. In response. All right, so let's move up and let's see if we want to do 2 points. I'm going to do that as meets expectations. And I'll say that they include new vocabulary appropriate to the task, composes sentences well, communication occurs. How about we put accurate communication occurs? Because that doesn't necessarily mean they got everything right 100%, but my goal is for them to be utilizing vocabulary that's appropriate and that they are able to get their point across, whether or not they have it 100% correct. Now, for 3 points, we're going to put that as exceeds expectations for me. And like I said, you could even pull these from the actual language levels. And for exceeds expectations, I'm going to have them incorporate current and past vocabulary into response. Occasion is accurate. And we'll call this, I'll go accurate and precise. Why not? All right, I'm gonna find out what's wrong with the word vocabulary here. It's missing an A. All right, there we go. All right, so this is my first criteria, right, is vocabulary. I've got uses appropriate vocabulary to assignment and level. I've got for 1 point that it does not use accurate or appropriate vocabulary to level, multiple uses of English in response. And I'm going to put for meets expectations that that possibly used English once. It happens. Now, and then for my exceeds expectations, I've got incorporates current and past vocabulary into response. Communication is accurate and precise. I can go ahead and add another one. So if I want to make sure that they have multiple points that they're being graded on, so for example, if I want to go ahead and make grammar one of them, I can definitely add grammar as one, and I'll do level appropriate use of grammar. And this could also fall into that making sure that they're not utilizing something like Google Translate to just type their answer for them. So if you're noticing a lot of like upper level grammatical concepts in a Spanish 1's response to something, this could definitely earn them a 1 because it wasn't level appropriate. And it wasn't something that you modeled in class. It wasn't something that they necessarily were able to pick up. And this has happened to me before where they're throwing around conditional and imperfect subjunctive, and we're in Spanish 1, and I have not modeled those things for them, at least not enough that they would be utilizing it in their writing. And it's a big red flag that something's up. So, because that's always a thing. So then for my measures, I can do 1 point, I can do 2 points, I can do my 3's exceeds. It just reordered it for me. I've got meets and I've got below, and then expectations. I'm just going to copy and paste that. Now, once this rubric is created, I can add it into any other assignment that I want to, and that's why I can also kind of make it a little bit generic, so that even if it's not 100% specific to the assignment, if it's good enough and I know that these are the things that you're looking for, it's a good idea. I can give a description or I cannot. If I go ahead and add one more piece of criteria, I might put like creativity. It's like, was your response interesting and thoughtful? Because sometimes they're just checking a box, and at this point it's it happens. But I always prefer, and I will usually give a little bit more grace if their response is at least creative or interesting. They thought about it a little bit and they were trying to say something other than just the flat out like, baby eats guacamole. Okay. But if it's like the baby really likes guacamole, it's delicious. That's a little bit more interesting. So level title, we had our 4-1 was below expectations, and 2 was meets. Hold on 1 second. And 3 was exceeds. All right, and I can give my descriptions of what each of those look like in here. You can take the time and figure out what really you would like it to look like. But once you've created your rubric, you're going to come up here and click Save. And then now this rubric is attached to this assignment. So you can see it right there. And when I click Save for the assignment, that is visible to students so that they are able to see what you're looking for when they are completing this assignment. So if I click the rubric here, it shows that there are points possible. And so I've got my vocabulary, and it gives that descriptor there. It's got the grammar. There's not a descriptor there because I did not take the time right now to go ahead and fill that in. And then creativity, you've got what they are, and you don't have your descriptor. But for everyone, when I go through and grade my students, it's going to be out of 9. And on each of their documents, when they turn it in, on the sidebar where it had the comments and the grades, before is going to give me this rubric, and I'm going to be able to click in and say, whether they exceed expectations in that category, whether they meet expectations in that category, or whether it is below expectations. And they're able to view that, and they know what they're being graded on, and it makes your grading a heck of a lot easier. All right, hopefully this has been helpful. Muy bien, adiós, hasta luego.